In the early 20th century, a discovery beneath the Mediterranean Sea would challenge fundamental assumptions about the technological capabilities of the ancient world, revealing an object so complex that even modern scientists initially struggled to understand its purpose, construction, and implications for the history of science. This discovery occurred in 1901, when Greek sponge divers exploring a shipwreck near the small island of Antikythera encountered bronze fragments embedded in rock, an unremarkable finding at first glance that would later prove to be one of the most extraordinary archaeological discoveries ever recorded. The shipwreck dated back to the 1st century BCE, a period associated with early astronomy, philosophy, and mechanical experimentation. Yet no historical records suggested the existence of advanced mechanical devices comparable to what would eventually be reconstructed from the recovered fragments. Among statues, pottery, and everyday objects, researchers noticed corroded bronze pieces containing gear-like structures, prompting early speculation that the fragments might belong to some form of mechanical instrument rather than decorative or utilitarian ship cargo. Initial examinations were limited by the heavy corrosion accumulated over 2,000 years underwater, obscuring the internal structure and preventing investigators from fully appreciating the device's complexity or original configuration. For decades, the fragments remained largely misunderstood, catalogued as curious but isolated artifacts, while prevailing academic opinion dismissed the possibility that ancient civilizations possessed the knowledge required to produce sophisticated mechanical systems. It was not until the mid-20th century that renewed interest and improved imaging techniques allowed researchers to examine the internal mechanisms concealed within the corroded bronze mass. X-ray analysis revealed an intricate arrangement of interlocking gears, some with precisely cut teeth, arranged in a manner suggesting intentional design rather than accidental assembly or decorative craftsmanship. The presence of dozens of finely engineered gears immediately distinguished the Antikythera Mechanism from any previously known artifact of the ancient world, raising questions about who could have built it and for what purpose. Mechanical complexity of this level was previously believed to have emerged more than a millennium later, during the development of medieval astronomical clocks in Europe. This temporal discrepancy forced historians to reconsider long-standing assumptions about the linear progression of technological advancement throughout human history. Researchers began reconstructing the device virtually and physically, attempting to determine how the gears interacted and what functions the mechanism might have performed. Detailed analysis revealed that the gears were arranged in multiple layers, indicating a compact but highly sophisticated design capable of modeling complex cyclical processes. Evidence gradually emerged that the mechanism was not random machinery, but a carefully engineered device intended to track astronomical phenomena with remarkable precision. Inscriptions discovered on the fragments provided critical clues, containing references to celestial cycles, eclipses, and planetary movements, suggesting an astronomical function rather than a navigational or mechanical utility. Further study indicated that the device could predict solar and lunar eclipses, track the phases of the moon, and model the movements of known planets as understood by ancient Greek astronomy. These findings positioned the Antikythera Mechanism as a form of analog computer, capable of performing calculations through mechanical motion rather than abstract mathematics. The concept of a computing device existing in antiquity challenged conventional definitions of computation, expanding the term beyond electronic systems to include mechanical representations of mathematical relationships. Precision required to manufacture such gears implied advanced knowledge of metallurgy, geometry, and mechanical engineering far exceeding what historians attributed to ancient civilizations. Each gear tooth had to be cut with accuracy, as even small errors would compound across the system, rendering long-term predictions unreliable. This level of precision suggested not only technical skill, but also a deep theoretical understanding of astronomical cycles and mathematical ratios. Scholars began searching historical texts for references to similar devices, finding indirect mentions of complex astronomical instruments described by ancient authors such as Cicero. Cicero wrote of a device created by Archimedes that could model the motions of celestial bodies, a description long considered exaggerated or metaphorical. The Antikythera Mechanism provided physical evidence that such descriptions may have been accurate, lending credibility to ancient accounts previously dismissed by modern scholars. This realization raised further questions about how widespread such knowledge might have been, and why no other devices of comparable complexity had survived. One possibility is that similar mechanisms existed, but were lost due to material decay, recycling of bronze, or destruction during periods of political and social upheaval. Another possibility is that the knowledge required to build such devices was held by a small group of specialists, limiting production and distribution. The mechanism's presence aboard a ship suggests it may have been transported as a valuable object, possibly commissioned for educational, scientific, or elite purposes. Its intended audience remains uncertain, though its complexity implies use by individuals trained in astronomy and mathematics rather than the general public. The device likely served as both a predictive tool and a demonstration of cosmic order, reflecting philosophical beliefs linking celestial motion to mathematical harmony. Ancient Greek thinkers often viewed the universe as a system governed by rational laws, and the Antikythera Mechanism appears to embody this worldview mechanically. The integration of theoretical astronomy with practical engineering demonstrated a synthesis of knowledge, rarely preserved in physical form from antiquity. As reconstructions improved, researchers identified gear trains corresponding to known astronomical cycles, including the Metonic cycle used to align lunar and solar calendars. Additional gearing represented the Saros cycle, allowing prediction of eclipses based on repeating patterns observed over long periods. These cycles required careful calculation and long-term observation, indicating that the mechanism's creators built upon generations of accumulated astronomical data. The sophistication of these calculations contradicts assumptions that ancient science relied primarily on qualitative observation rather than quantitative modeling. Instead, the Antikythera Mechanism demonstrates that ancient astronomers employed mathematical abstraction in ways previously undocumented. The device also challenges distinctions between theoretical science and applied engineering in antiquity, revealing a closer integration than traditionally assumed. Despite extensive study, many aspects of the mechanism remain uncertain, including its complete configuration and whether additional functions were lost with missing fragments. Scholars continue to debate whether the mechanism included planetary displays beyond those currently reconstructed, potentially increasing its complexity even further. Modern imaging techniques, including three-dimensional scanning and advanced tomography, have revealed details invisible to earlier researchers. These technologies have allowed scholars to read previously illegible inscriptions and refine models of the internal gear arrangements. Each new discovery has clarified certain functions, while simultaneously raising new questions about missing components and design intentions. The mechanism's uniqueness remains one of its most puzzling aspects, as no comparable devices from the same period have been recovered. This absence of parallels complicates efforts to place the mechanism within a broader technological tradition. The Antikythera Mechanism stands as both an extraordinary achievement and an anomaly within the archaeological record. Its existence suggests that advanced knowledge can emerge, flourish, and disappear without leaving a continuous trace through history. This possibility forces reconsideration of how progress is measured and remembered across civilizations. Rather than representing a sudden anomaly, the mechanism may indicate a lost tradition of mechanical science, interrupted by historical circumstances. At this point in the investigation, the Antikythera Mechanism appears less like an isolated invention and more like surviving evidence of a deeper, largely vanished technological lineage. As research progressed, historians began reconsidering how ancient knowledge was transmitted, recognizing that advanced techniques could exist within limited circles without widespread documentation, leaving only rare physical traces that survive by chance rather than through continuous historical record. The Antikythera Mechanism's reliance on precise gear ratios implies a deep mathematical framework, suggesting its creators understood proportional relationships and periodic cycles well enough to encode them mechanically with remarkable reliability. Such understanding required long-term astronomical observation, likely spanning generations, indicating institutional continuity in data collection that challenges assumptions about fragmented scientific practice in antiquity. The mechanism's inscriptions, written in ancient Greek, functioned as operating instructions and explanatory labels, reinforcing the interpretation that the device was intended to be used, adjusted, and understood by trained individuals. This usability distinguishes the mechanism from purely ceremonial objects, suggesting practical application rather than symbolic display alone. Scholars have debated whether the device served educational purposes, allowing students to visualize celestial cycles, or whether it functioned as a predictive tool for calendrical regulation and ritual planning. In ancient societies, accurate calendars were essential for agriculture, navigation, and religious observance, making predictive astronomical devices valuable instruments of social coordination. The mechanism's ability to model eclipses would have been particularly significant, as eclipses held cultural, political, and symbolic importance across ancient civilizations. Predicting such events could confer authority, reinforcing the status of those who possessed and understood the device. This raises questions about who commissioned the Antikythera mechanism and what social or political role it may have played within its original context. Some researchers speculate that the device originated in a major center of learning, such as Rhodes, where advanced astronomical study and mechanical experimentation were documented historically. Connections to figures like Archimedes remain speculative, yet the mechanism aligns with descriptions of complex astronomical instruments attributed to his intellectual lineage. If such devices were produced by skilled workshops, their scarcity may reflect limited patronage rather than technical impossibility. The collapse of political stability, loss of institutions, and decline of specialized craftsmanship could explain why similar devices did not survive into later periods. The recycling of bronze for weaponry and currency would have further reduced the likelihood of preservation, erasing material evidence of advanced mechanical traditions. This process highlights how technological history can be shaped as much by loss and destruction as by invention and progress. Modern reconstructions have demonstrated that the mechanism could function as designed, validating theoretical interpretations through practical testing. These reconstructions confirm that ancient engineers achieved mechanical precision previously thought unattainable without modern tools. Yet uncertainties remain regarding missing gears and potential additional displays, leaving the full capabilities of the device unresolved. Each new analytical breakthrough clarifies certain functions while expanding the scope of unanswered questions. The Antikythera mechanism forces historians to reconsider linear models of technological development that assume steady, uninterrupted progress. Instead, it suggests that knowledge can emerge, reach high sophistication, and then disappear due to historical disruption rather than technical limitation. This realization reshapes understanding of ancient science, positioning it as more experimental, quantitative, and innovative than traditionally acknowledged. The mechanism also blurs boundaries between science, philosophy, and craftsmanship, demonstrating their integration with an ancient intellectual practice. Its survival challenges modern confidence in the completeness of historical knowledge, revealing how much may remain undiscovered or permanently lost. The device's uniqueness may reflect not singular genius, but the fragility of material culture across centuries of upheaval. As a result, the Antikythera mechanism functions as both artifact and warning, illustrating how easily advanced understanding can vanish from collective memory. Continued study relies on interdisciplinary collaboration, combining archaeology, astronomy, mathematics, engineering, and history. Each discipline contributes partial insight, yet none alone can fully reconstruct the mechanism's original context or significance. This necessity mirrors the device itself, which integrates multiple forms of knowledge into a single coherent system. The Antikythera Mechanism remains one of the strongest challenges to assumptions about ancient technological limits. Its existence demonstrates that innovation does not belong exclusively to modernity. The mechanism reveals a moment when theory and engineering aligned with extraordinary precision. It also reveals how fragile such moments can be within historical timelines. Understanding the device reshapes narratives of progress, loss, and rediscovery. It reminds researchers that absence of evidence does not equate to absence of capability. The mechanism continues to inspire debate, curiosity, and reassessment across scientific and historical fields. Its meaning extends beyond its function, serving as a symbol of forgotten ingenuity. The Antikythera Mechanism stands as proof that history still holds unresolved truths. It remains an object that both informs and unsettles modern understanding. The device challenges the belief that ancient knowledge was purely theoretical or symbolic. Instead, it demonstrates practical application of complex mathematical models. This realization invites broader reconsideration of ancient scientific culture. The mechanism's survival is accidental, its implications deliberate. Each fragment recovered carries disproportionate significance. Together, they reshape assumptions about the past. The full story may never be recovered, yet the evidence already demands revision of accepted narratives. The mystery endures because certainty remains incomplete. The facts are real. The explanation is up to you.